Hello to Carol Brink in Monterey, California, who's figuratively, or at least electronically, waving at us at the moment at IMSA Radio. Hello, Carol. Hope you're having a nice day up where every day's a nice day in Monterey. As the 23 Porsche is out, we're waiting for the cars to come round and complete their first laps. And remember,
just
the
as a
driver,
target,
sorry, Greg, go ahead.
132.9 last year was track record. So that's just for reference.
And drivers who qualify have to start the cars. So decisions are being made, have been made, about who will start the cars tomorrow because they are in the cars now. Nice bit of spacing out on the circuit in terms of where the cars are. We haven't got groups of cars clumping, as we call it. It looks like everybody's found their own little bit of Belle Isle at the moment. And it's almost like watching single car qualifying. And good news, the 48 Paul Miller Audi, the Audi Sport Customer Racing car, has been rebuilt front and rear. And do you know what? You would never know that car hadn't just rolled off the truck.
I know.
Remarkable.
These teams are just something else. They truly are. And it was an Audi on pole here last year.
Yes.
It was the Pompelli Nelson Canace Jr. flying Lizard Audi, not here this weekend. So this car didn't get the qualifying run they wanted last year, but both drivers have been up in that top five fairly consistently here. So Von Moltke comes through, sets the early time after just one flying lap at a 36.7. And it looks like, for the most part, most of these teams so far have elected to have the AM driver do the qualifying. There's some very good ones out there, no question. Ben Keating just jumps up to second, Christina Nielsen to third. Viper and Aston Martin. And I have to say, our booth position here, right at the fast end of this front straight, and I mean right up against the track, I have to say it again, that Aston Martin sounds glorious. Sorry.
V12.
There you go.
Very, very good indeed. Very, very good indeed, that V12.
I can add to that, John, if you got.
So, Von Moltke, Keating, Patrick Lindsay goes up into second place in the 73. That is the Porsche 911 GT3 America from Park Place Motorsports.
And like I said, I think Lindsay, that confidence boost that he got, not just the team, obviously, with that big win at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, but his pole qualifying lap, I think, that was one of those deals where Lindsay, I've been announcing Patrick for a while, and I've seen those bursts of some real speed, but I think that pole maybe now has has given him that feeling of, all right, I can do this. I can get out there and run with these guys and really put this down. I never doubted it, but it certainly, I think, gave them a nice bit of confidence. Von Moltke, the 48 Paul Miller car, down to a 35.0 on his second flyer. Still Lindsay in second at a 1 minute third. Well, that changes very quickly. Nielsen, then Keating jumps to second now, and we've got, Lindsay has had a quick spin. I don't think he got into the barriers.
He's been lucky, very lucky indeed. The Porsche at everybody's favourite corner.
No, I think he got away with one. Well, here we
turn
go.
Number 7 in the bump in the middle of the road. But he managed to get over that. It's just can't defy the laws of physics, I'm afraid. Turned in. Still a damp patch there on the middle off the corner. The apex off, gets down, looks for the... Yeah, that was on its way going before he even got to the apex of the corner there, Greg.
Yeah, so, well, we talked about that big pendulum at the back, that big mass overhanging those rear wheels. It's great acceleration out, but going in, if you knife edge and you just exceed it a little bit too much, that back end wants to swing a little bit. And, I mean, you could do lots of work with suspensions, but you still deal with mass. And he did a nice job to keep it up the barriers. If he didn't hurt the tires, certainly not. There's plenty of time yet in the session. 8.5 minutes at this point. Von Moltke now, does he improve? He does, to a 33.5.
I've got a feeling we've got one of these cracking sessions on. Yes, hello. Yes, this is Sir Isaac Newton calling. Physics, my boy, physics. 007, Christina Nielsen, who did have, according to the timing and scoring this morning, a 124 to her name. So... a 134 to her name and was fastest in that session. 35.957 at the moment. As I say that, improves to a 34.793. So now Still a big gap, 1.2 seconds. Dion von Moltke in that rebuilt Audi. Wow, 1.2 seconds, Greg. You need to crash that car more often. I don't mean that, of course. But in the 63, the Ferrari out there, Bill Sweedler is qualifying that car. The 23, Alex Job Racing, is Ian James, Ben Keating in the 33 Viper, as we've mentioned. Madison Snow in the 58.
Yeah, it was this team, the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari team, that won it last year. It was with Westfall, though, and it wasn't these two drivers, but certainly this car. Boy, ooh. Well, I think he just got way wide, and it was either moisture or just some junk off to the edge of the track. At first, I thought it was smoke coming out the back.
I like the look of this this Audi.
I do, too.
The Paul
Whoa!
Miller Motorsports with a huge Tokyo drift coming. Well, where was that? That was 11.
That was coming out of 13, 10, I think. No.
Into 10.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Out of 10 into 11, 12, 13, that area coming out of that infield complex. And Dion von Moltke celebrating the power of the Audi R8 with its big V10 engine and just sticking the back end out and perilously close to the wall, but appeared to be in total control of it. I've got to say, that didn't look like he was in trouble. That was right foot. That was excessive right foot, but right foot that was provoking that, and it was beautifully controlled. I don't think it's good for his stopwatch time, but 34-1 last time around, so that was still faster than anybody else.
Yeah, Keating now in the number 33 Riley Motorsports Dodge Viper SRT goes to second at a 1:34.752. So they're still shy of that 33.11 that Christina put down in the morning session, but they're starting to close that margin a little bit. Madison Snow fourth in the number 58 right now. The Wright Motorsports Dempsey Racing machine, and then Ian James in the 23 Team Seattle car.
John, can you hear me at all?
Rounds out the top five. Now here comes Dion. This is the run up. See if he improves now as he comes by, as we are at 5.5 minutes to go in the session.
Wow, is that 10 minutes gone already? That's remarkable,
quick,
isn't it?
huh?
And the thing is that in 10 seconds' time, we'll have had 10 minutes of green. We've had 9 minutes 50 at the moment. Once it goes over that 10-minute mark, it becomes a valid session. If we were to have any of the sessions that didn't get the mandated amount, which I think in 15-minute sessions from memory, and I have to look at the SSRs, but I think it's 10 in a 15.
Just got the confirmation from race control. We've got the required 10 minutes.
Just gone over, yeah.
So it's official.
The thing about that, and why this is important, is each of the sessions have to have 10 minutes of green for all of them to be valid. Otherwise, it's starting in the order of the points at this stage of the season. That Viper looks great in those colours. I really like that white with the dark blue and red racing stripe. And if we're going to talk about classic liveries, Brumos Porsche, if I bought a white Porsche, it would have to have Brumos livery on it, even for the street. No race numbers, but
Just
the stripes.
The stripes, yep, I agree. It is well, classic, as you put it. By the way, that last lap, Christina Nielsen, remember the deficit to Von Moltke had been 1.2 seconds down to 0.7.
Wow, half a second.
Yep, she found a chunk.
I do think now we've got 4 minutes left. This is going to be last man across the line, or woman across the line, gets the pole. Last driver across the line. It's Von Moltke in the 48 Audi from the 007 Aston Martin from the 33 Viper. Yeah, talk about nice little bit of variety there. Then it's the 58 Madison Snow, 73 Patrick Lindsay, 23 Ian James, Bill Sweedler, 63, 44 Porsche in 8th of John Potter, Michael Marcel in the 97, and Cooper McNeil rather further down than I think the 22 squad would have expected in that Porsche. He's 3.5 seconds off at the moment.
Yeah,
and uncharacteristically,
very much
we've
so.
got a second and a half between the top 6. And I think this is down to losing the track time in the wet weather.
I think you're absolutely right. And by the way, Lindsay just jumps to third.
Whoa!
Oh, but
BMW in the wall. It's Marcel.
Yeah. Right before that happened, Lindsay had jumped to third, and then Nielsen jumps to second. And then Keating, right before that red came out, turned a 134.2.
Red flag.
Moves to second as we have a red flag due to the and the problem isn't the car getting not able to move, but it's the barriers have bounced out right into the line, I think.
All of the wrapped tyres on the exit of is that 7 again? No, it's further round.
Yeah,
my apologies. It looks to me as though he just ran slightly wide, got sideways. Yes, he did.
12.
Went in sideways. 12.
Yep.
And that has been opened up a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah, well, he never got it down to the apex there, did he, John?
He and the apex were not acquainted at that point. Michael Marcel, apex, Michael Marcel. He's moved the barriers there. The car is showing some signs of damage on the left-hand side, but he's got it back to the pits. The clock is still running. I think the issue here is going to be repairing the barrier. The guys can't let that go. So I would say that one's in the book, and Dion von Moltke, provisionally at the moment on pole, will wait for a checker to come out, but I would count that one as in the book. And that was a stunning, stunning lap from Dion von Moltke. But let's not forget the confidence of the team to put him back in after he crashed in the wet, and, Greg, the hard work from the team to put that car back together.
Well, how many times have we seen that? When a driver has an off in a session, the team does a major thrash, gets the car put out there and in position, and the driver goes out, finds that something special and rewards that team with a great run, whether it's a race or qualifying or whatever. And I think Dion von Moltke, after they thrashed to get that car together, and as you said, John, you couldn't even tell that car had any kind of an incident. I think
like it come off a
that
stand at a motor show.
Right. I think that was Dion's way of saying, thanks, bloke.
Jeremy Shaw is down in the pit lane, and hopefully somewhere near the 48 pit at the moment. In fairness, Dion is sitting impassively in the car at the moment. Let's see if we can talk to Jeremy. Jeremy, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear, actually. Yeah, I don't know whether you could hear me, though.
No, that is perfect. And I know we've had to sort of do a bit of jigging and poking there. You are clean as a whistle.
Yeah.
Now, Christina Nielsen just out of the car. She looks like she's going to start in third position with time about to expire. Drivers are getting out of the car. Time is about to elapse completely. Decent run for Christina in the 007. But what an effort, Jeremy, by the 48 team. Dion's still in the car at the moment. That car rebuilt. Left front and right rear looks immaculate now, and it looks that in the next 10 seconds you will be able to congratulate the Paul Miller Racer team and give them a slap on the back for pole position. We'll send it to you.
Yeah, are they waiting to go out again? There's several cars I can see down at the
Time
end.
has now expired. There was 11 minutes and 57 of green. That's enough by a minute and 57 seconds. And Dion von Moltke is out of the car, taking the plaudits of his teammates. Let's get down to that pit and Jeremy Shaw.
I'm actually not at that pit at the moment. I'll hustle on down there at the moment. I'm actually just at the Aston Martin pit. I can have a quick word maybe with
Christina is third position.
I just got hemmed in by the tyre changers here. She's just debriefing with a race engineer, Carl Brandon. Carl, can I just interrupt from Christina? Nice job there in qualifying.
Thank you. Yeah.
Are you happy with the lap?
Yes and no. I definitely think we can improve, but it wasn't too bad. We're still in the top 3. That's really nice. It was an improvement in terms of qualifying with Laguna, but like the pace we showed in the race at Laguna, that's all that matters. We got to bring the pace to the race, and the qualifying is only the preview.
You got a lot of track time this weekend because you're racing in the World Challenge as well.
Yeah, that was also one of the things that was a little bit difficult. I came directly out of the PWC car the last time, so to take advantage of the tires when they're brand new and also get comfortable with the car again and find the balance of this car was a challenge, but we're on it.
Yeah, well done, Christina. Good job.
Thank you.
No, very good.
I'll hustle on down now and try and find the Audi guys.
That's great. Thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy Shaw, our Continental Tires pit lane reporter, doing sterling work, and thanks to Brian Peck and the rest of our team for sorting out the technical issues there. A bit of replugging required and done with aplomb by the guys. Just as much hustle as the Paul Miller Racing team. I'm impressed. I am impressed by that, if I'm honest, Greg. And a word for Ben Keating as well in the 33 car. A lot of pressure on him this weekend. He's got to do this race, then get on a plane, fly straight to France, go to Le Mans and do his rookie laps at the at the Le Mans 24-hour test.
And he went out, put in a decent lap, put him right up into that top 4, then backed off for about 2 laps. And I watched him just easing around. And then you could see him set up. Coming out of 13, he dropped the hammer, started that flyer, and that's the lap that popped him up in the second. So I think he played that session absolutely beautifully. The problem was that Dion van Molke was fast every lap he turned in that session.
And his fastest lap was the one before he pitted.
Exactly.
So he
Yeah,
did 6 laps. His fastest lap was on the 5th. Ben Keating's fastest lap was on his 7th of 7. Christina's 5th of 5. Patrick Lindsay, great job by the 73 car. The Park Place Motorsport after that spin in 4th position. And it did sort of come down a little bit. Concertina towards the end of the session, just a second or so between the top 5 cars, with Ian James, by the way, in the 23 Alex Job racing car in 5th position. Still a bit worried about Cooper McNeil's time down there. That's a bit off what I expected. Jeremy Shaw has hustled in his own special way down to Paul Miller Racing. Well done, Jeremy, and I presume a very happy Dion van Moltke after that nasty incident in the wet comes back to take pole position in GTT.
Yeah, he's not smiling at the moment. Oh, now he's smiling. So he should be. Dion, great lap there. First pole position in the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship. And the first pole for you in anything big, really. Congratulations. How much does this mean after what happened earlier on this afternoon?
Thank you. This means everything. I mean, the guys at Paul Miller Racing just did an amazing job. When the car came back to the paddock about 2.5 hours ago, it looked, maybe we wouldn't make the race even. They fixed this car in an unbelievable time. Big hats off to everyone at Paul Miller Racing, everyone at Audi Sport Customer Racing for helping us out. Thanks to Castrol as well, battery tender. It's nice to be up front, but main goal is tomorrow. So hopefully we can bring it home to the first pit stop in the lead and get it over to Chris and try to win our first race of the season.
First of all, what happened earlier in the wet? It was pretty tricky conditions out there.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't really know. I lost the car before I even really knew it was gone. It was really tricky. It's a really bumpy track. Probably just made a mistake. Probably hit a bump and got some little bit of hydroplaning, which can happen, but it's not what you want at all. It was really unfortunate, but luckily I've got the best team in the paddock behind me that fixed this.
Well, and how difficult was it to hop straight back on the horse and go out there and do the lap you just did?
Honestly, the support these guys give me make my job a lot easier. So put the helmet on and just get right back to it is my job. So I just try to do my best.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Remarkable. Thank you, Jeremy. Our Continental Tires pit lane reporter. Remarkably calm and matter of fact. Yeah, I banged the car. Sorry about that. But as Jeremy said, you get back in the car, you do and he says, well, that's my job. That's exactly what I meant to do.
Yeah, that's it. And let's not forget, you remember, was it 3 years ago now? 2 or 3 years ago when he was driving for Flying Lizards with Seth Nyman at the time, and remember the drive he put in at Baltimore where he held off some of the best in the business in the American Le Mans Series GT category to bring home a win. This kid can drive on street courses, and we know that the guy that'll be getting in after him, Christopher Haase, can too. So these guys, I think, are in with a great shot, and that Audi always seems to go well on a street circuit. I think it's, sometimes it's one of the older GT3 derived cars out there, and so in certain aspects it's slightly deficient in some ways, but on a track like this where it's about mechanical grip, that car's got it.
Something ridiculous like 59 or 61% of that car is the street car.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's bound to work well on something akin to a street circuit. That would be compromises for bespoke, purpose-built racing cars. The new car, who knows? We're fortunate enough to see the new version of the car at the Nürburgring take its maiden victory at the 24 hours in the hands of the Belgian WRT team, who were very successful, I seem to remember, a few years ago, quite a few years ago, in rallying, actually. And they acquitted themselves brilliantly. And already, Audi have sold, I think, something like nearly 140 of those R8 LMSs in various guises, mostly GT3 guises. Already 55 plus orders for the new car.
Isn't that something?
And say what you like, but the GT scene is a good place to be at the moment. We're underway, by the way, checkered flag falling 3 or 4 5 minutes ago for GTD. Let me just remind you that it is Dion van Moltke who will start the race on pole position for Paul Miller Racing in that rebuilt Audi. Great job by everyone concerned. But now we focus our attention on the prototype challenge runners out here for the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic presented by Detroit Metro Chevy Dealers. The 5th round of the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship. Remember, 10 minutes is the magic number. Once we've got the 10 minutes of green, we're all happy. And what we should see is these PC cars. Now, of anybody who's going to be out there fueled to go to the end, it'll be the PC cars. We've seen this time and time again. If this is your first time watching or listening to us here on IMSA Radio, and I say watching because we do have pictures at IMSA.com, of course, around the world. 454 your scanner frequency here at Detroit. These guys with the Continental tyres that have been developed specifically for this car go out and just turn laps, and the performance deficiency from the start to the end is negligible indeed. What you will see is these cars, Greg, getting faster as this 15 minutes go on, and it might be a qualifying session. It's going to look like a race at times.
Well, just go back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. You know, it was the first time that the AM guys did all the qualifying at Daytona and at Sebring. It was the pros that went out. They didn't run at Long Beach, so that's when they got out. They put on as sterling, stellar, stunning, fun, any other accolade you want to say, qualifying session that we've seen from the pros. Chris Cumming getting a bit of argy-bargy in the early going, comes back late after Mike Gouache had turned in a great couple of laps. Cumming comes back, Gouache responds right at the end. Cumming came through and took the pole, and right now Cumming's got John Bennett right behind him in the Core Autosport car. Cumming out by himself, but we already saw Cumming lock up, just a little bit of lockup, going down into turn number 3. He is pushing very hard right from the off. And although it wasn't the prettiest qualifying session at Mazda Raceway for Chris Cumming, he put it on pole, and then he drove an absolutely exemplary first stint in that race before he handed it over to Bruno Junqueira. I think this qualifying session is going to be fun. Let's not forget we got the 38 Performance Tech car out there. I'm sure it'll be James Vance qualifying. And the 85 be Steven Simpson, I would think, in that Miller JDC Motorsports machine. Chris Cumming jumps to the top in PC, second overall right now on his first flyer at a 134.1. And we have no track record for this class in Tudor guys here at this stage because they did not run here last year.
Wonder if we might, just before the fast times start coming in, drop in with Jeremy Shaw, who I know is down in the pit lane. Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm with Bruno Junqueira, actually, just talked
Perfect
about
timing.
it a moment or two ago. And Bruno, first of all, congratulations on the win at Mazda Raceway a few weeks ago. How much does that win mean to you guys? For those what you've seen?
Thank you. It was very important for us. Being very fast for the first race of the year. We had mechanical, so Laguna, everything went smooth and got our first win, first pole, first win. So gave a lot of confidence for the whole team.
Yeah, and Chris did he was a bit messy in qualifying at Mazda Raceway, wasn't he? But he did a beautiful job in the race.
Yeah, I mean, he was very aggressive in qualifying, but he ended up being on the pole, and today I hope he gets on the pole again. But most important, he did a great race. He gave the car in a good position, and then I was able to.
So which Chris Cumming is out in the car now, the good one or the bad one?
The good one and fast, good and fast.
That's exactly what they want here at RSL Racing.
Thanks, Jeremy. Jeremy Shaw, our Continental Ties pit lane reporter at IMSA Radio, of course, if you want to take part in the conversation. This is very nice. I like the way people are building up to it, the language, the body language of the cars. We have got two cars in close proximity to each other, and this is an interesting tactical ploy. I'm not sure what they're getting, if anything, out of this, but we're seeing the core car right up the tailpipes at the moment of which one is that? The Fulham. It is the 52. I thought it was the PR1 Mathieson Motorsport car. Now I might think that might be a bit distracting, but do you think that in the core car they're trying to get a bit of a tour there? John Bennett's trying to get some. I mean, John knows his way around the circuit. It's not as if he hasn't been here before, but this is unnecessary, Greg, isn't it?
This is what, for one, led to the issues with Cumming at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. He was right behind Bennett trying to make that pass. got together, spun. I mean, it wasn't a good thing. The other thing here is that, maybe there is, from 1-2 down to 3, maybe into 7, maybe down this front straight run, you can get a little toe, but you got to be really close. And to me, the bigger issue for him is he wasn't quite close enough. I think he's losing air on the nose of that car, and that takes away some of that front aero, obviously, and the car won't turn as well. So I think he'd be much better placed to back off a little bit. Kind of a surprise to me, they put the number 38 out in the hands of French and not Vance. So they're going to have French start and then turn over to Vance. And in the 85 JDC Miller Motorsport car, they've got the fast guy, Mikhail Goikberg, out there doing, well, I shouldn't say the fast guy, but Goikberg, one of the guys that, has come up, runs with Steven Simpson. And they're kind of pretty close, really. But I'm surprised to see French out there doing the qualifying.
Goikberg came up through the lights, didn't he?
He surely did. Yeah.
He's another poster boy for the ladder system in sports car.
Won it in a romp last year. It was his 3rd year in the series, but everything clicked last year.
I don't think that's a one-year series, I'll be honest with you. I think that people jump into those cars and think, hey, how hard can it be? Oh, this is hard. I think it's a worthy ladder series for IMSA and getting into the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship. We talked about the Cooper Tires prototype lights, not with us at the weekend here, but we will see them up at Watkins Glen. You won't,
exactly.
But we will.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Cumming has put one down here, a 1:30.626.
Is that the quickest lap we've seen by a PC this weekend?
I believe it is. Oh, and then he lowers it again to a 29.95, John.
Wow.
And that puts him now, next up is Schultes at a 31.3, then Gouache at a 31.7. So right now, Chris Cumming has a big margin over the field at this point. But French comes through at a 1:30.833 and gets that margin back down to under a second.
Yeah, unusually though, still nearly 9/10 of a second as they scream their rumble their way in the Motor City and in the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic presented by Detroit Metro Chevy Dealers. Appropriate that all these cars have got the Chevy V8 motor behind them, which has proved to be such a brilliant racing motor. It's the LS3, isn't it, motor that's behind them, and it produces all the right noises, plenty of power, and the torque figures are described as more than adequate, I think is what it says in the spec sheet.
Yeah, more than adequate. Boy, isn't that the truth? It's a stump puller coming out of those turns. It gets going. And yes, I forget, you talked about it earlier, these cars, back when they first came to life was, this is based on a top flight then P1 chassis.
Correct.
It makes amazingly good aero too. People think of this, it's a spec class. Well, yeah, but it's one that's absolutely loaded with performance.
Now, that 11 car has just gone past our booth, turns into turn 1 with a bit of a wiggle for Chris Cumming, but he's held on to it nicely. It actually...
Watch the turn in right here. There is a bump. Boom.
Oh, he's losing the front end there completely as he comes through to the end of the lap. The 38 car comes through us as well, through past us, James Trent. As they go by our booth, it actually vibrates the floor of what's got to be 3 tons of concrete booth. And I kid you not, this booth, the walls on this booth are 12 inches thick. It's like a bunker, rather. It's a commentary bunker, not a commentary booth.
Exactly.
I'm not complaining, it's lovely, and we've got great views out here, but the point I'm making is this is not a flimsy structure, and one of these cars going by, I can feel through the floor, through my shoes on the floor. Coming towards the end of the lap now, also the 52, resplendent in its black livery, and that is Mike Gouache. Mike, who's been around the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship for some time now, tried to get out of it a few years ago and decided he wasn't going to do it, and then ended up winning the championship that year. No, I'm not going to do anymore. Oh, I'm still leaving the championship. Oh, I'm not going to do it anymore.
Exactly.
I mean, we're kind of joking about that, but he was trying to retire from racing and say, I'm not going to do this anymore, and went on. He did go on to win the championship that year, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a season when he said, I'm just going to do the opening couple of races, the long distance ones. Those are fun. And I'm going to go. Ended up coming out of Sebring leading the points and went, well, okay, that's not quite the way to go. And next race, had a great run, opened the point lead up, and he looked at the team and said, well, I suppose we better go after this. And did. But boy, Chris Cumming right now, he just is looking so strong. A 129.615. French goes to a 130.3. So there's your margin, 0.7 of a second, essentially, which is pretty much unheard of. But I'll tell you, Chris showed some superb speed at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, no question about it. And we heard Bruno say, it's the good fast Chris that's out for this qualifying session.
Now out on the circuit at the moment, John Bennett in his mirrors has the Hornet-like black and yellow colours behind him. And that is, of course, the 85 JDC Miller Motorsports car with Mikhail Goikberg, the man who's come down from Vancouver in Canada, working with Stephen Simpson from England. Interesting to see Stephen here, actually. He's good to see him trying to reinvent himself in this form. Oh, big wiggle behind.
That was Schultes, I think, and he may have just nicked that wall.
It's coming out of 14 onto the start-finish straight-ish.
He had been third. He was doing a great job and been third, and now Gouache in the 52 turns a 130. Look at this, a 131.148 to a 131.186, third to fourth, and Cumming drops it down again, John, a 129.469.
Well, and by the way, we've had 13 minutes of running, so this is a valid session. Take Chris Cumming out of this because he's just basically bossing this. The next times is, okay, maybe James French as well, but then Mike Gouache, 131.1.
Yep.
131.1 for Mirko Schultes, 131.7 for Goikberg. I mean, literally fractions of a second between third, fourth, and fifth. And this is not over yet. There's still time for someone to pull something out of the back. Goikberg's problem in fifth at the moment, and it is a bit of a problem, is that he's got John Bennett ahead of him, and he needs to get a bit of clear track, I feel, to get a run at a better time. He's got about a minute to get round him, and of course John is doing his best to drop his time down as well. And he's not doing anything wrong, and Goikberg, he's not blocking. Oh, loose bodywork on the left front of the number 8, and that looks nasty. The splitter hitting the ground, and the headlamp and front left wheel arch fender area just aren't talking to each other. They are bouncing around.
I wonder if that's a legacy of that little brush with the wall he had.
Could have been.
See what he does here.
Not its usual pristine self as he goes through Mirko Schultes to 35.
Now watch the back here.
Now the background of the shot, for those that can see, that's exactly what's happened, Greg. That was a bigger hit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's side on. He's come out of 12, hasn't he? 14 there. And it's just off to our right and slid into the wall. We talked about game of inches earlier on. He was about 1.5 inches too wide there, which means, I mean, he's lucky because he's brushed that almost side on.
Yeah, he's very fortunate. By the way, French has joined Cumming in the 129.7. It's a great run, but as he does that, Cumming turns to 129.3 to improve again, and he's got this lap he's on right now, John, counts.
Yes. Yeah. Checkered flag has come out, but he gets through, and as ever, any lap that you start before the checkered flag comes out, you're allowed to finish. Where is French on the circuit? That's the question. Did he get through for another lap as well? I don't think Cumming has to do this. I don't think he's going to have to do this lap. Mirko Schultes definitely got through. 38 car is on the far side of the circuit at the moment. He's still going for it. So James French with a bit of clear air ahead of him. 29.786. As up to third place comes Schultes in the 8 car.
With a wounded car, no
less. With a wounded car. What about French? He comes to the line and takes the checkered flag. 29.603. No, 29.321. Well, that is so close. 0.004 of a second. That time has popped up from somewhere that we didn't see on the timing screen. James French has gone to the pole on the very last lap. 3:17, and French goes to pole position. My goodness. The timing screen keeping all the excitement to the very last moment, as was James French. And on the 10th lap of 10, he has gone through. What was I saying about Chris Cumming perhaps not needing that, and the reaction down at the pit lane from the Gentilozzi Junior and Senior says it all. James French by 0.004 of a second, 129.317 to 129.321, and Chris Cummings' last lap was the 29.603. Wow, wow, and wow.
Oh, man. Well, they did it again, didn't they?
There's a tiny little bit of damage on the right rear corner of that car. He's just had, I think, a tiny brush with the wall, and it's just shaved a little bit of the bodywork there. Yeah. Unless it's a tie wrap, it may be a tie, keeping that together. That's a smart move. Yeah, got them on both sides now that I can see that. But wow, that was a great run by James French and the Performance Tech Motorsports team, who this weekend are sponsored by Rickman Detroit. And James French, along with James Vance, will be sitting on pole position. It'll be James French who takes the start of the race, and Jeremy Shaw is down in the pit lane. How close was that? Close enough for you, Jeremy?
I think so, actually, yeah, 4,000. Let's have a chat here with Brent O'Neill, the team principal at Performance Tech Motorsports. Brent, your first pole, isn't it, as a team?
Yeah, it's our first pole in the PC class for the team. Pretty awesome job with James. You know, he's pretty new to all of this, and our guy's been pushing hard to get this done, and his last lap there, we told him it was in there. He just had to find it. He did a great job. Got to thank Brian, our new engineer here. He's been doing working his ass off on this thing, and he's got this thing zipping along now. A couple of podiums the last two races, so things are looking good here.
It's a tremendous job there by this whole team, and James, wow, where did that come from?
I don't know. Desperation. Last lap, I heard I was in second place by a few tenths. I pushed it extra a little bit, and it made the difference, so yes.
It did by 4,000ths of a second. What does it mean, though, to you to get your first pole in the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship?
I mean, it's huge for me. I mean, everybody on the team did an awesome job. They've been working with me. This afternoon, we got rained out, so we had limited practice. But, I mean, it's huge.
Tell me about this morning. You had a couple of spins this morning and didn't hit anything.
I only had one.
Oh, yeah, okay. It was the other James that had two.
Yeah, combined, it was not perfect by any means.
But you're learning where the limits are, though, right?
Exactly. That's one way to do it.
Well done for finding them, and good luck for the race tomorrow. You got 2 podiums now. You want that first win, don't you?
That's for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah, tremendous job by this whole team here. And as you say, they've on a bit of a roll here, the new engineer, and everything is working together well. And what a great effort that was by James French.
I love the idea that we told him it was out there, so he just had to find it. Here's a searchlight or a microscope, because it's actually a microscope.
Yeah, for that smaller margin. And I'll tell you, I've had the pleasure of watching James. You know, he races out of the Central Division of SCCA in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin, actually Sheboygan area, and I've watched him racing Atlantic cars. I've watched him racing C Sports and D Sports racers, which are somewhat akin to these machines, just on a SCCA level. But he and his dad, they also have the opportunity. They're big vintage historic guys, and they've got a couple of ex-Formula One machines, Ferraris and Benettons, that they run in HSR stuff. So he's used to some pretty high horsepower stuff, but that was a superb lap. So well done for him. And,
Jeremy?
That's
Mirko Schultes?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Yeah, let's have a quick chat here. Mirko, that was a great job there in qualifying. Well done.
Thanks. It's a nice track. I like it. And the car runs great. And I'm finally back on the Brembo brake, so makes 2 seconds for me.
Yeah, and I mean, you built up to that session, just going quicker and quicker and quicker. But you made a mistake, didn't you, with a couple of laps to go in the session?
Did
you clip the wall?
But it was not a mistake. The wall just came close to me. Because of the heat of the sun, it bent a little bit, so I touched it, yeah.
But that made the car better, did it?
Yeah, a little.
Or it made the driver better?
Made the driver better.
Fantastic. Well done.
Thank you.
It was a really good job by these. And it'll be Renger van der Zande who'll take over this car in the race. Renger, didn't he do a fine job?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
Mirko did a really good job. I mean, we were really laughing on the pit wall because he was doing so well, and then touching the wall, scrubbing the wall, and then after he even improved his lap time. So really happy with him today.
Have a good race.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, what a great team. Renger van der
Boy.
Zande and Mirko Schultz. Yeah, the heat of the day bent the wall out.
Bend the wall. Now
Deere
that's funny.
Insurance Company. How did the accident occur? The wall jumped out in front of me. I tried to avoid it, but it followed me.
Exactly. And
We've all written those excuses before, haven't we? Down through the years.
I'll tell you, one of the great insurance excuses, or not excuse so much, but explanations, was somebody I know actually got one of those fender benders in heavy traffic, and the insurance company rep called him and said, and I happened to be there at the time, so I heard it and I just lost it. He said, can you just, 25 words or less kind of explanation, just let me know what happened. And my friend said, yeah. He goes, when you're in those traffic jams and you go 15 feet and stop, 15 feet and stop, 15 feet and stop. And he went, yeah. And he goes, last time I went 17 feet. There you go.
There you go.
But, and, I wanted to say we saw that reaction from the Gentilozzi crew. Let's not forget, they are Michigan people through and through. They happen to be Lansing, Michigan people. But this event, hugely important for RSR, Paul Gentilozzi, and his sons that make up that team. And to get a pole here would have been mighty sweet for them. And Chris gave it one heck of a run. 4 1,000ths short. That's prototype challenge qualifying for you.
Exactly what we expected. Exactly what we expected. Right, are you ready? Are you ready for a bit of prototype qualifying? Let's find out who's going to be on pole position for the 5th round of the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship, the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic presented by Detroit Metro Chevy Dealers. And let's see if we can have a quick word before the action begins with someone down in pit lane. Jeremy is down there as our Continental Tires pit lane reporter. Jeremy, what's the atmosphere like and where are you?
It's fun. I'm actually with Chris Cumming at the moment.
Oh,
So
good
Chris,
man.
How frustrating is that to lose out by that close a margin?
Yeah, 4 thousandths, it doesn't get much closer. I mean, great lap by James there. He put it all together when it counted. And, I thought I had him. He pulled it off under pressure. Good for him.
I mean, you were getting quicker and quicker. Everybody was getting faster and faster through this whole session. What happened on your final lap?
I think I made a small mistake here or there and just was 3/10 off my best time and not enough to get it done.
So great job today in qualifying, and also congratulations on that win a few weeks ago at Mazda Raceway. I know you won the 2nd win of the season, don't you?
I sure do. Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Thanks.
Thanks very much. That's Chris Cumming here. And yeah, we're getting ready now for the big boys and prototypes. The pit next door is Chip Ganassi racing with Felix Sabardis, and I believe it's Joey Hand who will start that car. I'm not 100% sure. Should be fun though.
Our Continental Tires pit lane reporter is Jeremy Shaw, who is standing right in front at the moment of the 01 as it's getting ready to pull out. How do I know that? Because I can see the onboard camera as Jeremy is... Wave at the camera, Jeremy. I'm watching the 01 car that's standing... That's that.
Awesome.
Good man. Jeremy by remote control. Excellent stuff. Jeremy working his magic down in the pit lane. There is literally no one that he doesn't know and who doesn't know him. All right, I think this is a tough one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Who do we think for overall pole position, Greg?
I don't know. Who are you talking to? Sound a little evasive? Yeah, well. Yeah, you have to look at the number 5 just because that was the only car that got below the existing track record in that first dry practice session, but not by much over their team car, the number 31, and any of the drivers in those cars certainly capable. Last year's pole sitter and winner, Westbrook and Valiante. I mean, there's just nothing between these guys. Those times in that session. Now there was in that fast session this morning between the two Action Express cars, the 5 and the 31, back to Westbrook and Valiante, about 0.7 of a second. Then behind them, it was extremely close for the Taylor brothers, and then the 01. So honestly, it's just too tough to tell at this stage. I think we're just going to have to kick back and enjoy this ride, and it should be absolutely spectacular.
It's the voice of Greg Kramer, I'm John Hindorf. Our Continental Tires pit lane reporter is Jeremy Shaw, and the clock is running. We've already had 90 seconds of green flag running, and the important part is reaching that 10-minute mark. If we can do that, then the session is fine and dandy. That is actually what it says in the regulations, 10 minutes to be fine and dandy.
F&D.
Yeah. FAD. Already out on the circuit then, we have 3 of the... Oh, massive lock-up by the 11. By the 31 down into turn number 3. That looked like brake lock-up by the Action Express car. Not sure who's aboard that at the moment. Eric Curran or Dane Cameron. Trying to see if I can see the red and white helmet is Eric, isn't it?
I think that's Curran, yeah.
Yeah. But he's not being phased by that at all as he's out on the far side of the circuit now.
Yep. And, you know, one of the options, of course, you know, he got off the brake pretty quick. Boy, that bump, though, and they just slammed down under the big plank underneath the car going into turn 7. All the downforce that these things generate. That car wants to bounce up, and the aero just jams it right back down again. It's a pretty violent ride. So, all right, here we go. The number 5 coming by, completing his first lap. Or coming up in just a minute, completing his first lap at some relatively significant speed. So, next one, perhaps, next couple will really tell the tale. But as they come whistling by, Christian Fittipaldi turns a 1:29.001. Valiante at 29.4. Yeah, so it's going to be next lap or a couple after that. We're really going to see the super quick stuff here. Here comes the Taylors. That's Ricky on board the number 10 Wayne Taylor Racing Machine. Curran indeed on the 31. Pruitt driving the 01. Valiante next up, but Fittipaldi that throws the gauntlet down with a 29 flat in his first lap. Now that's well off that 24.9 that car ran in this dry morning session, but that was only his first flying lap. So really looking forward to this one coming through. On board for just a moment there. Now you're watching with us, looking at videos, working through, I kind of call it the fountain complex, just because that exit point right, the turn prior to what we're looking at now, you're just staring at that beautiful fountain here on Belle Isle. So Aldi coming up. That is the tricky 12, the very fast 13 that they've opened up a little bit. Gives you a huge run down this long blast. Watch for the bump. He avoids that. He goes a little shallower to turn in there. And the bump is a lot less there, a 26.8. Valiante follows him through at a 27.5. Curran right behind them at a 27.6.
Carsars just asked a question that we didn't finish up when the PC car's out. He said, did they always use treaded tyres? No, they were using slicks in that last session. It's dry of the Clan McDry out there.
Ricky Taylor comes through, splits the front now, goes to second at a 26.95.
Let's call in with our Continental Tires pit lane reporter who is down with Wayne Taylor Racing, Jeremy Shaw.
Indeed, so yeah, with Jordan Taylor, it's his brother's brother Ricky's turn to qualify this weekend. And have you got a car good enough for the pole here?
I think so. I mean, practice was a bit interesting. I mean, the first session the track was obviously very green, so trying to figure things out with that, and then the second session was wet, so I think everyone's kind of guessing what to do with the setup right now for the qualifying, which it looks like it could be rain for the race. So we did a lot of work on the car for the race setup, so I think everyone's kind of gambling for qualifying right now, but track condition is still very important.
Yeah, and the good news is I guess you've had an opportunity to drive the car in totally different conditions today.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, definitely looking to tomorrow, it could be exactly the same as today. So we got a feel for full wet, full dry, mixed conditions. So we feel well prepared for what we have tomorrow. It just depends on what setup we choose to take to the race.
You're the defending race winners here, of course, and you're looking to do it again and really get yourself close there in the championship standings now. With a win and 2 seconds the last 3 races. You're really on a bit of a roll here, Jordan.
Yeah, it's been a good year. I mean, Daytona we were strong. We just obviously didn't get the points that we would have liked to have. But we've been on a comeback since then. the 90, the 5, and the 01 are obviously all really strong. So the championship's tight, and every car, all of those cars are always fast every race weekend. So always have to be on our game and try and maximize our points.
Now, the track's a little bit different this year. Tell us about that.
Yeah, they repaved, a good portion of the back section. The whole back straight's new. They tried to straighten out the brake zone a little bit. So hopefully, adding the PC class this year adds a new class and some more passing. So hopefully that opens up a passing zone and makes the racing a little more exciting.
Drink to that.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Jeremy. Jeremy Shaw down there as our Continental Tires pit lane reported. Now we're starting to get into the halfway point. In fact, we are exactly at the halfway point with 7 minutes gone and 7 to go. Ricky Taylor, 1:25.6. Still to see a 24. We've only seen one car in the 24s.
That was some good juju during the interview with Jordan. Ricky went to the top, but now a 25.39 by Fittipaldi.
Oh.
Valiante just missing second at a 26.2.
Out on the back straight, Scott Pruitt right on the riverside. Just finding a bit of space there, and now fires up, or at least pushes the throttle all the way down. That Ford Eco Boost for the Chip Ganassi Racing team.
Ricky improves his time to a 25.507, but does not move up.
Wow.
And Fittipaldi's time right now, John, is only 4/10 off of a track record, so we're getting right down there.
We had a 24.999 this morning, didn't we? That was the fastest time in free practice 1. And I just wonder who's qualifying the Michael Shank Racing car. It's going to be John Pugh, isn't it? Yes, it is John Pugh in the 60 car. 29.2 for them. 5:10.90.01, 31.60. Your top 6 separated. The top 5 only separated by 1.2 seconds. We'll take that right now. 90 seconds before we have a session that is FAD, fine and dandy.
Christian Fittipaldi just taking it a little bit easy on the lap he's on, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to pick it up here.
He was very close to the wall, in and out of 14. Now rumbles past us to start his 5th lap in this qualifying session. Yeah, that was a 28.3, which, by the way, is still good enough for 6th position, and that was his slow lap. And who is that behind? It's the bright blue of the number 90 of Michael Valiante in 3rd position, who has got something to aim at now as Ricky Taylor goes through 25.3 and takes back provisional pole. This is interesting. They're on different parts of the circuit here. We've got Valiante and Christian Fittipaldi now 2nd and 3rd, or should I say 3rd and 2nd as I read those around, who are actually pretty close together on the circuit. And I just wonder if Valiante and Christian Fittipaldi slowing down there to get his space, he might have given Valiante a bit of a target, Greg.
Yeah, he may have, but again, my concern is you get a little bit too close, but not close enough to get a tow. Then you're just running in that disturbed air, and you lose some of the aero on the nose. So I think we've seen Valiante now go, okay, I've got to either pass him or let him go, and he's let him go. You can see Christian up there a lot farther now. Yeah, so there's a lot more space so that they can really go after it.
Beautiful,
yeah.
Beautiful late afternoon, early evening, just after 6 o'clock. Hello there, it's IMSA Radio live from Belle Isle, and it's over 10 minutes of grade, so all 3 of our sessions are good, they are fine and dandy, and Fittipaldi nicks it back. This is going to be who gets onto the last lap.
I think it is. I think it's exactly what we're seeing is more rubber goes down, the car gets lighter. Car just goes faster. These tires are up to it, stays with it. Here comes Taylor. He needs to get by a 125.2. How about a 24.8 and a new track record?
And the fastest time we've seen.
Whew, what a lap by Ricky.
Magnificent stuff. And the team radio coming through to us there, giving him the news of exactly what was going on that lap. So 3.5 tenths between 1st and 2nd. We've not had a session well, we've had 2 free practice sessions, haven't we? And they've both been topped by an Action Express car. One by the 5, one by the 31. So this would not be the session for Action Express not to bring their A game. So what is happening? Well, I'll tell you now, Christian Fittipaldi is not taking this lying down in the white, yellow and black Corvette DP on the far side of the circuit, the Riverside side of the circuit now, turns into the final couple of corners to bring back to us. If I look to the right of our booth now, I'll see him popping out. There he is in the sunshine, comes past us now, heads under the Chevrolet bridge, and Fittipaldi is back to the top. 24.746, another qualifying record.
Yeah, look at Valiante improves his time to a 25.19.
Yeah, he's just going to be really annoyed now because he's getting faster and faster, and the other guys are getting faster and faster now.
Current down to a 26.379.
That's a good run from him after that big lock up on his outlap.
Yep. And then Pruitt 0-1 and a 26.6.
And Scott Pruitt having a very nasty moment. Very nasty moment on the back straight. There are some very, very quick parts of this circuit for a track that is quote-unquote a street track. We've said this before, it is, it'd be better to call it now a semi-permanent racing facility.
Yes.
And it must be so close now to somebody saying, oh, just leave all the barriers up, we'll find some use for it for the rest of the year.
By the way, Pruitt just turned to 26.2, jumps him in front of Curran for fourth, Curran to fifth, and John Pugh, a good lap, gets now best lap he's done at a 26.991.
I'll almost guarantee you, Greg, that the last lap that these guys do with 2 minutes to go will be their quickest lap. It's going to be a question of who can get that timing right to get across the stripe at or around the time that the checkered flag comes out. Fittipaldi then by just over a tenth, 126, check that, 124.746. Fittipaldi has been doing a lap, easing off, doing a lap, easing off. That's really hard to do. It's great for the car and the tyres. It's hard to keep switching on and off for the driver. As through goes Ricky Taylor again, 24.796 is his best time, but he hasn't. Oh my goodness, look how close that is.
I know, yeah, he just dropped it down to that margin. That's just unbelievably close.
7.46 for the leader, 0.746 for the leader, 0.796 for second place. Now, remind yourself that we had a margin between pole and second in PC of 0.004 of a second. That in GTD, Dion von Moltke was streets ahead compared to that kind of time. He was, what, 0.8 of a second ahead. We're not going to have 0.8 for the two other poles added together, I reckon.
I think you're right.
We might not even have a tenth of a second the way it looks.
40 seconds to go.
So now bring it in. If you've got it, you've got to bring it out on this lap. Who's about to start a new one? Let's look to the right-hand side. It's a very clear run. Oh, and Fittipaldi brushes the wall exactly as we saw earlier on. Coming out of 14, he goes through. The checkered flag is out in 25 seconds. He's got through. 24, no, he hasn't gone faster. 25.2 for Fittipaldi. That's the first time he hasn't improved.
Yes.
Now, what about Ricky Taylor? He's now in my vision, coming down towards us. 31 goes through with Eric Curran. There goes Ricky Taylor. Does he improve? 28.203. He does not. But he gets through. Now the checkered flag comes out. He got through. Definitely got through.
He did. I think Taylor knew his time. He backed off a little bit to get clear of Curran so that he's got just good air on that car. And now if he can have a good clean lap here, this is it. This is an opportunity for him. But Fittipaldi got through well underneath that checker as well.
0.050 the difference at the head of the field at the moment. And Fittipaldi and Ricky Taylor both on one more lap. We gave them 15 minutes. They're going to be greedy. They're going to take 16 and a half.
And thank you.
Yep.
Both of them.
Absolutely right. This is overtime in the best possible sense of the word. And it'll be Christian Fittipaldi who puts his final lap together first. Oh, he gets a rear end. Really, really squirrely coming out of 14. And I think he brushed the wall there. Goes past us now. There's the checkered flag. 24.749 against
3/1000ths off his best time.
He's still got the two fastest times, a 24.749 and a 7.46 against a 7.98. Curran goes through. What about Taylor? There's the black car. He goes past us now, and he goes through, and it's a 25.5, and Fittipaldi's on pole position for the 5th round of the IMSA Championship this year, the Tudor United Sports Car Championship, the Chevy Sports Car Classic, presented by the Detroit Metro Chevy Dealers, and Action Express maintain their record of being at the top of the timesheets with one or other of their cars throughout this event this year in the 3 sessions that we've seen so far. But my goodness me, close to disaster not once but twice. Once with the front end of the car, the second with the rear left 3/4 panel, and he was inches away from disaster at least a couple of times that we noticed just down to our right. Christian Fittipaldi takes pole position for the Action Express 5 Corvette DP, and that was a qualifying session.
Boy, was it. 51 thousandths of a second, the difference between first and second. Fittipaldi to Taylor, the 5 to the 10.
Jeremy Shaw is our Continental Tires pit lane reporter, and my goodness me, Jeremy, .004 in PC, .050 at the front of the field. Whatever anybody says about this sports car racing, Lark, you've got to say that the rules makers have got it right. That is some close racing we've had this afternoon in the qualifying session, and bodes well for tomorrow.
I'm ready to go with Joao.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Joao, wow, what a qualifying session was. What was it like from your vantage point here on the timing stand?
Yeah, it's always exciting to watch a good qualifying. You know, it's Christian did a hell of a job in the car. The car, Action Express, gave us a great Corvette, and Christian just brought it home in first place. He did an awesome job, and was trading lap times with Ricky Taylor, so it was pretty exciting till the end there.
It certainly was a very exciting qualifying session. Christian just brought the car to a halt in front of us. He's surrounded immediately by the crew here, so it's going to take him a few seconds to get out of the car. And there's a big crowd of people. First of all, he gets congratulated by Joao Barbosa, his teammate here. And I know for Christian Fittipaldi, this will mean an awful lot to you, Christian, to get the pole position. What a great qualifying session that was. That was a lot of fun to watch. What was it like to drive?
It was pretty... Just a second.
I better let him get his helmet off, and I better be fair to the guy, particularly after all the work he's put in this afternoon. And he was so close to the wall on a couple of occasions. You know, I think it really took it out of him, because he's certainly sweating in pretty hard here, because it's hot this afternoon. The sun is back out again now, and it was a hard work for that qualifying session, I think, for all of these guys. And to get any sort of consistency, I think it says a lot about the Continental Tires. But Christian, again, tremendous job out there. You were really pushing hard.
Well, I guess not only me, but all the other guys out there were trying to do their very best. Qualifying sometimes is pretty tough in this series, and very close. And we managed to put on a quick lap together. The car was good this morning. I don't think I managed to extract the best out of my car. I think I had another lap that was slightly quicker, but I made a small mistake. I braked a little bit too deep. I locked up, and then I had to abort that lap and start all over again. And I never saw the same splits that I had seen in that lap. But all in all, I'm very happy, thankful to Action Express, Chevy, Mustang Sampling, and we came out of 2 very difficult races. And we tried to analyze why we had such hard races. We went testing, and let's hope for a good race tomorrow. But I think that we figured it out, and let's put it together tomorrow and see if we can finish up the show.
You were so close to the wall there on turn 30 on a couple of occasions right at the end of that session, pushing it right to the limit.
Well, I guess this is what you have to do in qualifying. Sometimes you get a little bit too close, but I think in that aspect, a little bit of experience helps me, because I have qualified so many times in this place back in IndyCar days. And when you put it all together down to crunch time, I didn't do a lot of laps this morning just because it was wet, like the second practice and all that stuff. But I'm still extremely happy, and I have to admit that I'm happier for the team than for myself right now.
Congratulations, Christian.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a really fine job. And I'll tell you what, just before I throw it back to you, I'm going to have a look at the on the left-hand side of the car. There don't seem to be any marks on this side of the car, guys. I think he just missed the wall.
I'm not sure about that. He might get his collision damage waiver back when he takes the car back to the airport parking. Thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy Shaw, our Continental Tires pit lane
He kind of
report.
sounded like he held his breath for 15
Yeah,
minutes.
he really did. Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, we catch up here with Ricky Taylor. And Ricky, wow, that was an exciting qualifying session.
Oh, man, I know. It's a shame. It's always a nice thing when you're disappointed in second. But, man, Christian did a good lap. And I said to the guys on the radio, I haven't pushed that hard and been that close to the wall in a long ever. And so, I mean, hats off to those guys. They seem to be back on their game after 2 races. They seem like they're in a bit of a funk. But, you know, it's back to, you know, this hard IMSA racing. It's going to be a really tough fight tomorrow, especially in the wet.
Now, just talking about the last couple of laps in that session, because you caught up behind the number 31 car there with only a few minutes to go in the session. How difficult was it to take the decision to back off and try and get a clear lap again?
Yeah, I must have sounded a bit panicked in the car, but you know, I was asking if we'd get another lap, if I could back off. And on that lap that I caught him, they said it was a good lap, keep pushing. And maybe there was a little bit in it, but you know, I don't think, you know, I think they had, you know, the package today. We could have gone a bit quicker maybe, but hats off to them.
Good luck for tomorrow.
Thanks.